Hello everyone, welcome to this new episode. Today we are starting a new series focused on practical mobile system design interview. For this first episode, I'm joined by Artem, who was with me for the first episode of the season 3 of Swift Academy. And we are trying to going today to simulate a real system design interview around a very common complex problem, which is designing the homepage of a modern e-commerce application. Mm, at first glance, a homepage may look uh, simple as an example, but from my little experience, we have a lot of things that can be on a homepage. We have kind of banners, products, um, products, what we call product carousels, kind of recommendations, and it may be behind the scene it's sample UI, but there is many interesting engineering challenges that we can make during this kind of interview, design system interview. We try today to design a lot of things. Try to do how we can measure the user interaction, how we can design the API, caching strategies, kind of image pipelines, and also question related to architectures. Today I will play the role of the interviewer, and Artem will take the role of the candidate. From time to time, we'll also steps out to discuss why certain question matter and why interviewers are usually looking during the interview, which really very important for people that are listen or watching us. Hello, Artem. Sorry for the very long introductions.
Hello, Walid. Thanks for having me again. It's a big pleasure for me. I think we will have a great discussion today.
Yes, thank you. Uh, Today I have, as I said, we have a kind of e-commerce application that can be composed of different sections, like campaign section, category, kind of category shortcut, kind of product carousel, and we have the ability to add a product to the cart. We have also maybe a list of recommendations that we have generally in e-commerce applications, and I added also a section related to travel because my application it's combined of different topics, e-commerce that we can buy everything, travels, products, anything, and this is the challenge is that how we can cover um, data that can be of different kinds, different nature, and how we can compose design this from a front-end perspective. Maybe you have some question to me, Arthur, about this.
Yeah, totally. I have some questions. Um, since I'm acting as a candidate, I should, as a first step, I should ask some questions to clarify the scope. I will add a note why I am asking questions about this or those things. So, um, I assume we're designing some kind of MVP version of a campaign-driven e-commerce retail homepage. And as my first question, I want to ask to clarify these things. I think are we focusing on the homepage, or should we also include product details, search results, cart, checkout? I'm asking why I ask this question because this is the main scope boundary. I want to clarify the boundaries I will work in. So if, for example, we include product details, full search, cart, checkout, payment, we're no longer designing a homepage, we're designing the whole commerce app. So my first question is, are we really focusing on the homepage?
Yes, it's only for the homepage. It's a great question because sometimes during the interview, the candidate have this kind of confusions about what is the boundaries of the interviews. It's very important to ask this kind of questions to the interviewer to understand, as you said, the scope, the boundaries of our discussions. Even for this kind of homepage, we cannot cover all the things on the homepage because there is a lot of things to discuss during 1 hour of system design interview. Even 2 hours, we cannot handle all the things. We only focus on the homepage and also the product cards information, uh, different information related to the product, maybe the discount related to every product. We have in Europe, I think, what we called the omnibus rules. You have the price during the last 30 days. The evolution of the prices now exist. Maybe we can discuss this, but it's not mandatory for this interview.
Sure. So I will add this surface on our board to understand it clearly and to demonstrate that I can stay within these boundaries. And since we discussed our boundaries, now I want to understand uh, who controls this homepage composition. Uh, is the homepage hard-coded in the app, or can the backend or some kind of CMS control which sections appear and in what order? Um,
I
yeah, I want to clarify why I am asking it. This is the primary architectural decision of this homepage. Since we're creating a campaign-driven retail homepage, uh, product and marketing teams usually need to change campaigns, categories, promotions, etc., without waiting the app for an app release. And we should have an ability to adapt for this for this situation. So this is my question.
Yes, it's a great question. If we want to have this kind of dynamic information that in the home, we need that this information come from the backend. The backend is responsible for creating the different section that of this home page. It come for me if we want to have this kind of dynamic information and not using this kind of what we call feature flipping to show for this country or for this sometimes the product section and we try to hit some otherwise. I think that all this logic to structure the home and to feature flipping the sections that we want to show on the application should be handled by the backend. And this is the challenge: how we can using a good modelization from the backend to have this kind of dynamic content on the home.
Yeah, I will mark it like a server-driven composition, but I want to make a note that's not it's not a fully server-driven UI, not BD UI. So we'll not create a tool which will parse JSON we got from the backend. We just create a tool. Our homepage is something like a tool which is controlled by backend, but responsible for rendering sections. We will discuss it deeply, but a bit later. For now, I will just to mark that this is not full server driven UI, just a composition.
Okay.
this is our home composition and how it controlled. And now I want to clarify what kind of content, what kind of section types and personalization do we support. Um, I'm asking it because the homepage of such an app, it's not just a list of products. It is a feed made of different commercial sections, and each section can have its own layout, behavior, uh, tracking model, and even caching strategy. Because, for instance, one section can reveal just static images, and we cache it in one way. Another section can reveal media content like videos, short videos, and we should understand how to work with this kind of content, because this is a totally different story when we're talking about this different media type, media content. And personalization also affects the API contract. So it's about personalization, API contract, cache strategy, analytics, and some feature flags. So my question is, what section types should we support? And as a candidate, I can suggest it. I can demonstrate that I understand um, this field. I can understand what a retail app can suggest, can offer to users. And right after my question, I can suggest, for example, campaign cards, category shortcuts, product carousels, some kind of recommendations, and of course, promo blocks. What do you think, Polly?
I think it's great. But the idea it's how, especially for the caching strategy, um, because we have this kind of dynamic content, the caching strategy, what kind of data, what kind of section should we register that the application could continue even we didn't have access to the internet, to the network. For me, some sections should be some important section on the home should be caching. Not all the things in the because it's dynamic. Maybe the section it's we didn't have the same um, sections for every launching of the application. For me, for my point of view, I think the product section, as you said, the category, because it's related also kind of category to the product. Some recommendations, the recommendation also, but this is the main section um, that we called caching and fallback if we didn't have access to the network. I hope that I respond to your questions.
Yeah, I think we will dive a bit deeper into these topics. Caching is a very important thing for a retail app, since as a user, I don't want to open an app and see just the loading indicator. I want to get the content as soon as possible, and this is good a good thing we can investigate today. Um, but a bit later, I think,
Yes, no
uh,
problem.
when we will discuss different things we will create. For now, I just want to clarify things to understand what should I compose with this design. And for uh, this question, I also want to add some information about personalization. Uh, I'm not sure. I'm sure we should not to dig deep into this topic, but we can highlight some personalization aspects into the API design and models.
Okay,
So,
no. Yes.
so yeah, I think that we can highlight that we understand what is personalization is. For at least I should demonstrate it. So basic user segment, I think, is a good point for personalization. Some experiments and feature flags that can be exchanged with the backend, and recommendation ranking or something composition. I think this is out of scope, so we should not discuss it deep. I will just mark the basic user segment and some kind of experiments or feature flags we can get from the um, backend. Backend can also determine the composition, and I can mark it that I understand that we can implement this also, but we should keep it out of the scope right now. Something like recommendation ranking,
Okay.
and we should keep it out of scope right now because we don't have time to discuss everything. But I want to highlight that I understand this field.
Okay. Great. That interviewer understand that you think about this kind of questions, which is very important. Okay, great.
Yeah, interviewer can stop the interview at any moment and say, it's enough. I understand that you are good at system design, and we just do not need to go further. I understand everything. You are hired.
Yes.
But you should not uh, pursue this goal. You should not pursue the um, total explanation of everything. You should just highlight some things that you understand and you have um, some experience with it. So, the next question I want to ask, I think this will be my last question. What actions can we perform within the homepage? Maybe this homepage only for navigation, or we can also perform some actions
Mm.
directly from the homepage, like add to cart. For example, I see the product I want right now. Without any hesitation, I want to tap the add to cart button and go straight to them buying it. Um, so that's why I'm asking it.
I
For
think
yeah,
yes. I think the action, as you said, Artem, to add the product to the cart, it's use case that we uh, need to handle, and also going when we tap on the if we discuss the travel sections, going to the details of countries, the list of trips that we offer for each country, like Italy, Greece, don't know, this
mhm,
kind of actions. If we have also imagine that we have recommendation, go to the details of the products, but now it's not the focus of. But if we try to make things simple, just to think about add to product to the cart and also go to the details of travel for a specific country.
yeah. So I will mark it like navigate to campaign, category, or product.
Yes.
Uh, or product. And as far as I understand, we can add lightweight add to cart functionality, right?
Yes.
Add to cart. I also want to mention some interesting point that the content of the homepage can expire. So, for example, there is an sale so we can find on the main page, homepage, and we go to the product details. This sale may be over. So I think that homepage can demonstrate this, can show different aspects of campaigns, but the product details, company details, or category details, these modules should validate via server the current state of this product. So I think it will be a good idea just to mark that, make a note that server validates these details, but since we will keep these screens out of scope, we just don't need to discuss it deep. So I will mark full cart and it is out of scope, and details just routing and out of scope. Checkout definitely out of scope. So I think
it's great.
I think this is enough for the beginning. I think I understand the scope right now, and we can move further.
Yes. My next question is about if we can now go further to what you would consider the main functional requirement for this home page based on what we discussed in your question now. And after this, maybe we can speak about what we call non-functional requirement, because in different system design interview, we have this kind of question to understand what is the functional requirements and also the non-functional requirement.
Yeah. So I mark this column as scope. This is the first part of our system design journey. And the second part, I think, functional requirements, as I said, and non-functional requirements. I should ask these questions to demonstrate that I understand what we are doing now. I will mark it like, for example, functional requirements FR, and we can go straight to the point. So the first requirement is that user, I can suggest this requirement. The first requirement is that user can open the homepage and see the dynamic feed. The backend or CMS, some kind of, can decide which sections appear, in what order, and with which content. And from the application, from the iOS side, we need to render that feed safely using our native components. Do you agree with me, Valid?
Yes, I think it's a good choice.
So I will just mark it like that. Dynamic home feed.
Okay.
Just to mark this thing, backend provides sections, and up renders, let's say, native components. Another functional requirement that came to my mind is about section types, because you describe it very well, and now I understand. I want just to fix this contract. So this feed should support different section types. Um, we will start with campaign cards, category shortcuts, product carousels, promo blocks, and recommendations, as we mentioned before. And since we talked about it before, I want just to highlight one important thing, that not every card is a product. Some cards can lead to campaigns. Some cards can lead to categories. So this should be composed with taking into account these possible features. So I will mark it like section types. And for now, I will just say what we will support. It will be campaigns, campaigns, categories. It will be product carousel, and some recommendations, and of course promo blocks. Second requirement, third requirement, functional requirement. The user should be able to tap a section item and navigate to the correct destination, campaign details, category page, etc. Maybe search results. So I'll treat those screens as boundaries. We need to define how the homepage links to them, but within this interview, we will not design full product. We will not design full product details, full search results, or the full cart, etc. Do you agree? Well, it was me, or maybe you want to add something else?
Yes, but just I have a questions about what do you mean by about functional requirements? It's related to use cases or not? Because there is I think we need to explain the concept of
Yeah,
why we need to study the function requirement and what is the function requirement.
yeah. Functional requirements. It's as you said. As I said, it is a use cases we should handle during our composition. What we should create, or what functionality we should create, and this is very important for this app. So we can split requirements into functional and non-functional requirements. Um, so non-functional requirements is something um, about quality of the user experience. For instance, when user opens the app, we don't not want to show a blank screen or just a loading indicator. We should discuss some skeletons. It's non-functional, but these things I think is important too, and we totally need to discuss them as a very important part of the application.
Okay, great, great. Thank you, Artem. We can go now with the third requirement, function requirement.
Yeah.
As I said,
So
the navigation. Yes.
yeah, so this is also almost the same thing as our section types, since they all have their specific navigation. We just want to highlight it. Campaign category, product, search, etc. Maybe cart, but um, it's now out of scope, so it doesn't matter. We just want to highlight that we understand what to do. I think I can reduce a little. Uh, reduce the font a little. It was a bad idea. All right,
Yes.
let's keep it like that. I think audience will forgive us for this. So the next functional requirement is um, suggestions at search. I think um, we just within this MVP homepage we can include a search entry point and support lightweight suggestions when user starts typing. Um, Everything else is out of scope. Ranking, filters, typo tolerance. We can, as I said before, we can highlight that we understand these things, but we should keep it out of scope.
Uh, what do you think now to do you consider that adding product to the cart is also a functional requirement?
Um, Product card, yeah, it's a functional requirement,
Because
but
use case.
sorry,
Because it's a use case. Adding cart to the product,
yeah.
sorry, to the cart.
So cart, we can add it. It's a routing use case, and we totally can handle it. So it's a good point. And so we have really three categories of routing on our homepage. It's a product campaign category. It's like one category, and search and cart. So I think it's a good point to highlight on this board. And
Yes, just for people that are watching us, um, we um, we have the search, okay, we have the navigation, we have the section type, and also we have adding product to the cart as a function requirement. Just
yeah,
closing. Yes,
um, I can say this is a separate question. And since we're discussing search as something separated, I can
yes.
say that the next functional requirement, as you said, is a good point to discuss a lightweight add to cart. I will just mark that full search is out of scope, and then um, lightweight add to cart functionality. Um, so, for instance, if a product supports this functionality, the user can add the item to cart directly from the homepage. I suggest to keep it lightweight. The homepage sends the action and handles the result, but the full cart management, checkout, and everything else related is are out of scope. And this one more thing I want to add. This gives us useful design questions for later. It's about optimistic UI. It's about server validation, price and stock freshness, and error handling. I think these topics, if you will touch it on the interview, I think it will demonstrate that you're aware about such things, and this is a good point to highlight.
Okay, great. Now,
So
yes.
yeah, I will just add a few notes about about this functionality. I think it should be optional because not every card should have this option, this functionality. Product cards. I think we should highlight that server should validate it, and everything else is out of scope. The next functional requirement, I think, as you said at the very beginning, we should have an ability to track different interactions, for example, impressions, tap, actions. Since this is a commercial homepage, analytics is a very important part of this product. We need to track different kind of interactions, and for this interview, I would not treat analytics as something where at the very end, because it affects the data model and the API contract. We can have different options for tracking these actions, not only via Firebase, Submetrica, etc., but via backend, our backend too. So it's important to discuss it later when we will create our data models and the API surface. So for now, I will just briefly highlight that we have analytics and section impressions, item impressions. It will be interesting to discuss how we will track this impression, because we should not track it just after rendering or receiving data from the backend. We should track it after revealing this specific item on the screen. And of course, add to cart, we should track this data too. And maybe search interactions too. So just to summarize everything, functional requirements are: we should have dynamic config, multiple section types, navigation, search entry, and suggestions, add to cart functionality, and some kind of analytic events. I think that's it for functional requirements. What do you think, Valid?
I think it's we cover all the use cases, especially how to. There is a lot of function requirement, but as I said, as we said, sorry, we can't cover all the use cases later when we try to think about API caching, all this stuff. But what I appreciate also that you mention about analytics, which sometimes it's considered like non-functional requirements. But for the retail application, I think it's very important to have this kind of analytic because it's important to check the impression on for every sections, because after this we can say, okay, this section a lot of user of consumer tab on this section or try to discover this section, and we cannot detect this without analytic informations. I think that we are good. We can move to the non-functional requirement.
Yeah, this is also a very important part of such kind of apps. And first thing I want to mention is fast first content. I think this is very important for a retail app. Maybe only for the big ones, but I think to be honest, I think this is an important part for every app. You should not keep the user waiting the first content. So let's just mark it like first, fast, like so, fast first content, and we will not create Swift UI or UI kit views today, but I want to say that we definitely should have some skeleton views for our homepage. And to be honest, as a user, I prefer to see some kind of cached content before the first backend interaction will end. So if we have some cache, I think it's a good idea to demonstrate it.
Okay.
Let's say if available, because if this is the first time user enters the app, there will no way cached content. But if it's available, I think it's a good idea to show this content to the user. And I think that the good point to highlight is refreshing in background. We should not wait while one user will pull to refresh or do something else. I think we should keep the data fresh. So maybe we should just highlight this point. We will not create some code about it, but refresh in background.
Uh, just I have a question about this. Maybe if we can refresh in background, we have this kind of polling system or not?
Yeah, I think there can be different kind of polling, but for this episode, for this interview, I think we can reach for the REST API and use just a simple polling um, to understand if everything goes all right. This is the simplest way we can discuss, and I think it's preferable for this kind of interview.
Okay.
So the second non-functional requirement, I think this is very important too. It's a smooth scrolling and image performance. This is an app with a heavy feed, with a big amount of images and other media content. So app should load images lazily. App should cancel image requests when cells are reused, for example.
Yeah,
Avoid,
that's important. Yes.
yeah, avoid decoding large images on the main thread, and use the right image size for the UI. We will discuss it when we will dig into the API, but there should be different sizes for the image.
Okay.
So feed performance, I think we call it like this. Scrolling, lazy, image loading, cancel. Let's just say on reuse, downsampling, and stable layout.
Just for people that maybe didn't have knowledge about this concept of downsampling or the unstable layout. Yes.
Yeah. I just wanted to clarify things. Downsampling is, um, we should not use the original size of the image. We can downsample it a little. And stable layout, what I meant, it's something like you don't have a decoded image at some point, or maybe you just didn't prepare this image, so you can show some kind of placeholder. But if this placeholder is a different size, has a different size, or just a different shape, it will be uncomfortable for users to see when the image will be revealed on the screen. It will jump or something like that. So we should understand that layout should be stable. It should not jump. I saw a lot of different, for example, skeleton views, which make it uncomfortable to work with this screen, because it always jump. You don't understand what will happen in the next second, because when content appears on the screen, it can't change the shape of the screen. And our goal is to keep the shape of the screen stable on the to the all when the user interacts with this app. It should be stable for every second.
Okay, great. Uh, I don't know, maybe we'll speak about pagination because we have a list of products, and maybe pagination, for my point of view, it will be considered like non-functional requirement or functional requirement. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it can be treated as a functional requirement, but
Okay.
I think it's something like we can discuss it via API discussion, because it's detail of the API. It's detail how we should treat models and request them. It's um,
Yes, I understand. Because sometimes it depends of the API, the pagination.
yeah,
Sometimes we have the API that come with a different list of product what we have on the databases, but for performance reason, we try to have this kind of pagination, 10 products per products. It's related to how the API it's uh, for how we thinking the API, but also it can be um, UI need. Sometimes people in the UI try to have this kind of pagination to insist people to discover. No, there is something new that will come in now. What do you think about this?
yeah. I think it's a good point. I think we totally should discuss these things.
Okay.
Um, for now, I think we should briefly highlight some non-functional things about performance and maybe user experience.
Yeah.
And after that, we can dig into data model and API design, where we will discuss these things.
Yes. Yes.
So I think I should keep things short. The last things I think I want to discuss is caching. Uh, just to highlight that I understand, or that uh, we should support it. It's caching and maybe network, because we can face the situation where user use a poor network connection, and we should handle it too. So home response cache, image cache. I think I made a typo here. I think time to leave is a good point to highlight too, because not everything is um, can last forever. on our whole homepage. Some things can expire, and we should avoid things like duplicate downloads, because we can start to download media content when when the item appears on the screen, and we should avoid duplicate downloads. And the last thing about user experience is partial failures. I want to highlight it too because it's important. We should not um, say, for instance, we couldn't download one image URL or something like that. We should not say to users that we failed to do everything. We should keep it section level or item level failure. So partial failures, section level failure, some kind of when we received something invalid data about sections, we should handle this too. So invalid section should be ignored or handled. Fallback, something like this. We should demonstrate image placeholder, and that's it, I think. So we can say in general, okay, keep page usable, even we faced with something unexpected. One more thing I want to add about non-functional requirements is compatibility. We should know about our current app version. An old app version should not crash just because the backend introduced new section types. So let's say compatibility is an important thing about such kind of server-driven composition homepage. It is important because we rely on the backend heavily, and we wait for different kind of content from the backend and expect the specific contract. So it's important, I think. So we should handle known section types. We should use unknown section fallback. We can track, it's an optional thing. We can dig deep maybe later and discuss it. But I think that for such kind of app, we can use layout version and minimum app version. We can exchange this data with the backend and act in a different ways if we will receive some specific information from the backend.
I think it's great now and the moment to go to modeling the API. I
Yeah,
don't, Artem, if you are comfortable with this.
yeah,
This is my next question about how to you design the API, and you spoke about composition. If you want to using one endpoint or maybe multiple feature specific endpoints, because we have a lot of sections. What kind of, I know it's a question related to backend conception, but from your point of view, what do you think? about, first of all, the number of API that we need, if you have one or multiple API to use. And after this, we can discuss the content, what kind of response that come from the backend. Just to think about what kind of information that we will also send on our request, kind of errors, etc., and also the kind of response.
I think that on the real interview, for a candidate, it will be easier to determine data models which we need to compose our screen first, and after that, we can determine API endpoints. So since I think this is the best way to think, because we can't really understand what endpoints do we need. We can suggest some, um, assume some endpoints. For example, we already understand that we will use pagination, for example, and maybe we can get some campaigns. We can use the same API endpoint like campaigns ID to navigate to the specific campaign. But I think for a candidate, it will be easier to understand what what API should be created after handling data models. So, what do you think? Can we start with data models briefly to understand what should we receive from backend?
Sorry, I was muted. Yes, I think that we can go with the models, and after this, we can choose that we can go with multiple backend endpoints, or one is sufficient to us. Maybe it's more the idea to check the models. It's very, it's a good idea.
Okay, so at the top level, I suggest to have a homepage model. It contains an ordered list, the ordered list of sections. Pagination data, I suggest to use a cursor if the page can load more. A layout version of for compatibility, and some kind of time to live for caching. Why I said cursor-based pagination? This feed can change between requests. Campaign may expire, or maybe new section may appear. Maybe ranking may change, and cursor pagination is safer for such situation. It's safer than page numbers, because the backend can continue from a stable point. It's really safely to use such kind of pagination. And the order matters because the backend controls the commercial composition of the page. So let's briefly create a models here, I think. And for the first one is a homepage model. It will contain some sections. It will contain next cursor data, maybe layout version, and time to live that will be used to determine if something is expired. We will use it for caching, I think. Time to live helps the client also decide whether cached home content is still fresh.
Okay.
I think, yeah.
Sorry, Artem, just sorry for interrupted you. Just to understand, you have a home page, okay, with the sections, but why we need to use the next cursors? We have a kind of pagination in our home page, because when, for my understanding, the pagination, it will be only for the product cases or the travel cases. It's not for the all home uh, page. And the idea to have what you call a home page model, I need to understand why we need to have, um, why you choose this to have a home page model.
Um, I think we can have a lazy loading or some kind of infinity scroll on the homepage, maybe because as a user, I saw a lot of different retail apps, and for instance, um, in some kind of these apps, we have an infinite scroll, so you can get some, for example, different sections at top and discover some products later. But next cursor property can be used not only on the homepage, it can be used also on the specific section because it can contains um, maybe an infinite scroll too, for example, horizontal one. Um, Maybe not. It depends on design of the app.
Okay.
But I can say that we can highlight this option for this scenario. And what about cursor or page-based pagination? I think the cursor one is a safer option because the feed can change between requests and you can't guarantee the consistency of the feed of the page if you use page based pagination, and cursor based is something safer for this option, I think.
Okay, great. Great.
um, Next thing is what is section is. Um, I think we can describe it like this. Home section. Uh, it should has an ID. Um, it definitely should has type of this section. Um, I think we can get items from the backend too. Um, some kind of tracking maybe. Let's highlight it in general, like tracking data, what should be tracked for analytics, and maybe mean up version, just to understand if we should we use this item, this section or not. Um, Important detail mentioned that I would also handle unknown or supported section types safely. If backend sends a new section type for an older app version, the app should skip this section or show a fallback. It should not fail the whole page. But I don't think we should write an unknown case here. Um, so inside a section, I would keep the item model generic this level. A home item, we can say it's like so. The naming doesn't matter really. I think a home item needs a title, image URL, destination. Since it is composed, our homepage is composed by the backend, and tracking metadata. Depending on the section type, the item may represent a campaign, category, product, or maybe just a promo card. So uh, let's say that's a home item, and it can contains title, uh, an image URL. What else? Routing, destination point.
Yes. Have also the tracking also, maybe.
Yeah, and tracking. Agree.
Yes.
So one note for product cards, price and availability um, are display snapshots. They are good enough for the homepage, but as I said earlier, the product details or card actions should revalidate them. So the homepage can be fast, but the card, for example, remains the source of truth for price and stock. We should keep it in mind. Uh, so
The yes. This is the home section, but for specific items like, as I said, products, travels,
mhm.
in term of modelization, how you think we can modelize this? Because we have the items. Okay, we have the home section, we have the ID items, element, home items, title, etc. But for the products, for example, how do you think we can?
First of all, yeah, I agree. We should handle at least destination, and I think it can be used like a enum. For example, destination combined category product search,
Okay.
or external with external URL. Um, I would avoid hard coding type behavior inside each card. Instead, every typeable item exposes this kind of model, a destination model, for example. So the destination can point to different categories on campaigns, and via this model, we can keep rendering separate from navigation. So the card renders content, and the coordinator or router handles navigation. So it will keep the UI layer cleaner, I can say. We can write it briefly. So destination,
Okay.
and as we said before, campaign, um, category, product, search, what else? Card, and maybe one uh, case for external navigation. For example, we can mark it like this: external URL. For tracking, I would include tracking metadata in both sections and items, because for commissional homepage, analytics is a part of the contract, and we need to know which section and which item produced an impression or top. Uh, I think it's a bad idea to reconstruct this from the UI hierarchy if the backend can provide the right metadata. So let's keep it. We mentioned before, just tracking for home section and home item, just to highlight that we can track some information, for example, during the revealing this section on the screen. Tracking can include different things like section ID, item ID, um, maybe even position on the screen. I think we should not write all of that on the board, because it's will create a big area for discussions.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Great. Um, I think that we can discuss now the number of endpoints and maybe it's time. Yes.
Mm, yeah. So mm So now we have the data model, as you said. We can define the contract, and for this screen, the main product endpoint is not a product endpoint. Um, I think I would model it as a home composition API. Its job is to return the structure of the homepage, which sections to show, in which order, um, with which items and metadata, for example. The backend controls the composition, and our job to use the native rendering. So backend is a composition, and iOS app owns rendering. So let's put it here, API. So what do we need? I think that the first endpoint is home. Let's say that we have infinite scroll on the homepage. I think this is it's more interesting to discuss than the static one. So let's
Okay.
assume that we have a some kind of cursor based pagination here. So the first endpoint, I think it's home, and like so, cursor, um, maybe like this. We can include different things like locale, app version, and user segment. I think we can keep it like so, but we can mention it verbally that we can include different things into this endpoint. The second thing we want to receive from the API backend is the campaigns. So it will be get um, to and campaigns. And since we can route to different campaigns, I think it's important to include ID parameter here too.
Okay.
Um, Another thing that we can use as a get request, I think it's search. And since it is a bit advanced one, we can use suggestions here, and I don't remember query like this. Um, so we can keep it like in this kind of um, endpoint. So maybe we can since we have a lightweight add to cart functionality, I think we should be able to create items to put items into our cart. For example, since we perform this like action performed by a user, I think it should be a post uh,
Yes.
request. I don't know. We can mark it like so cart and maybe items. So just to put the whole um, all the items into the cart in the at
Yes. The ability to add many items on and also just one items. This is the main idea.
yeah, I think we can use it like so in our interview discussion, but there can be different options. For example, uh, put one item or keep all items and put them once again into the cart. I think we can use an optimistic UI approach when we add to cart some item on the cart to the cart on the main homepage, and after we go to the cart itself, we can use our um, post request there?
Generally, we have this ability. Generally, we have one item. Generally, but sometimes with it's not our cases. We can select different products and add all this products in the cart, especially for recommendation. We have this kind of user experience now in our application. We have this kind, but agree with you that maybe we need just to have cart items and we pass an array with one ID. Just it could be an array from with different ID, what we call SKU, the SKU number of the product.
Yeah, I think for the interview it's enough to say about card because
Yes,
we can design it a bit more detailed. But I think since we keep it very lightweight, just say that we can use an array here. And I think the last thing I can say that we can use different analytics. Uh, we can dig deeply deep a bit later about analytics, but I can say that we can highlight that we can use analytics, which is provided from provided by our backend. So let's just say we have this option too. Uh, Analytics, events, something like this. Um,
but maybe we know that we pass it generally via partners like Firebase, like yes, Datadogs, like or this partners. Uh, but sometimes we have this kind of API, but behind the scene, we make a call to the API. We make the call to the API that send the data, but from generally we use a partner to do this.
yeah, Firebase Amplitude, Appmetrica. I think this is the preferable way to use analytics in the real products. In the real products, but since it's an interview, I think we can assume that we have a backend. I think it's as you said. I think it's a good point because you can highlight that you understand that in a real app you can use Firebase or Amplitude, but I'm not sure if everyone if everyone will be satisfied with this answer if they want to dig deeper into the analytics topic. But this is not it is not our case, so we should not discuss it too detailed, I think. So I think yeah, we can maybe write like this: Firebase, Appmetrica, etc. So we can just highlight that we understand
Yes, it's very
this.
important. Yes, to mention this that the interviewer understand that you understand that you have this know that every partner should pass using an API, and also that the API it's a functional requirement in sorry, the analytic is functional requirement for our cases now.
Yeah. Um,
I think that
so, hmm?
we can go Artsum now because we have a lot of time discussing the API and the data model. We can maybe speaking a little bit about architecture and for this kind of home pages. What kind of architectures that you prefer?
um, so it's I think we can discuss. We can name it like high level design or client
Yeah.
architecture.
Okay.
And for a system design interview, I will not go straight to the MVVM versus TCA topics, because in my opinion, it doesn't matter for the system design interview. You can say, for instance, if you want to compose a screen model, you can say, I will use, for example, MVVM, but you should be able to answer the question, why do you prefer such an architecture, UI architecture here? And I think you can say that MVVM is never a mistake. TCA may be a mistake for smaller apps, but MVVM, it's mostly enough for everything. Um, so it's not only about MVVM, TCA, MVI, MVP design. It's mostly about different levels of the high-level design of the client architecture. So I would split this into presentation, domain, data, and backend boundaries. So the backend gives us the composition of the homepage, but the iOS apps is still responsible for screen state, rendering, loading, etc. I would structure the client around three main layers. The presentation layer owns the screen, state, section rendering, item tracking, navigation events. The domain layer owns use cases, domain models. It doesn't know about collection view cells or JSON DTOs. And the data layer owns this all. It owns repositories, API clients, DTO mapping, cache, maybe analytics. So, for example, we can say presentation. What is presentation layer? It's a home view or home view controller. We can discuss what we should use, SwiftUI or UIKit. So it's a view layer. It's home view model. For example, if we were using MVVM architecture for the presentation layer, and home state, since there are a lot of different kind of sections which are driven by the backend, we can say that we should have a section renderer. This is a guy who will handle a specific type of section we received from the backend. And since there are a lot of such sections and such section renderers, I think it's important to create, to highlight that you understand that you should have some kind of section renderer factory. It can be a switch or something like that, something simple, but you should keep it explicit, like some kind of factory. It's of course it cells and some kind of navigation tool like coordinator or router. I prefer coordinator based navigation approach. For the main, I suggest to use different kind of some things like load home, load more, open destination, add to cart, track event, maybe some suggestions, and that's it. One moment and one step back. It's about if we're discussing a high level design, we use not only home view and home view model, we also use some kind of state. So let's describe main loading flow, I can say so. The main flow starts when the home screen appears. Then the view asks the view model to load the home page, and we can do it via load home use case, for example. Um, the use case goes through home repository. A repository can return cached content first, then refresh from the network, and their mode response is mapped from DTOs into domain models. Then the view model updates the home state, and the UI applies a new snapshot. So we can we can write this on our board
On the
like
board.
so.
Okay.
So let's say we have home view. It doesn't matter for now. We can discuss it later if it will be home view or home view controller. I'm not sure it's uh, important, but you can highlight that for this kind of home screen, home page, you prefer to use UIKit and UI view controller because it can be really more performant. And this home page is heavy, image heavy feed with infinite scrolling. So maybe UIKit is more preferable than the Swift UI approach. So home view tones home view model. Else we should use different use cases. Uh, you can briefly describe why do you use use cases. Uh, a couple of words about clean architecture. I think it will be enough for an interview. Load home use case. Another use case, another part of this story, since use case is a isolated block of logic, it should provide an interface for the home view model, for example, but the real work will be done via home repository. It will decide should we get the cached content, etc. So home repository. Home repository may own some kind of home cache,
Yes.
use home API, and maybe some guy who will decide how the composition will be performed, some kind of home composition service, for example. So the primary direction maybe we should demonstrate on the interview is DTO, domain, home state, and
Domain model, so, or what we call entity.
yeah, home state and UI snapshot, something like this. You can just say why it matters. So this flow supports fast first paint, cached stale content. You can demonstrate that you understand how to separate API and UI in one place for DTO mapping, one place for home loading policy. That's it. And what is home state? I think it will be interesting to discuss why within the interview home state should contains some kind of data about state. It's not a state is a part of the home state model, something like a loading state, content.
Failing. Yes.
Yes, error,
Failing.
content.
Yes.
Yes. Uh,
Sorry, but we have this kind of generally from the front end case, we have this kind of state when loading data. But from my little experience, I didn't find this exist from the backend. Backend, okay, that come on the data come to you are on what we called a loading state. If you have the data, okay, this is success one. If you have the failing one, and for every state, we have maybe a kind of view or message that you show to the users.
Yeah, I agree. It's totally the iOS app responsibility to use such a
Yes, it's very
right.
important to but I have about what we call UI snapshot. But what do you why do you mention this?
It's not. It's a model,
Okay.
and a model for a composition, a screen composition. It's like a snapshot. It's like instruction. What should we reveal on the screen? I think this is the right um, title for this thing.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, it's like model. For example, home view state, the whole structure, it contains sections, an array of home section models, um, maybe some kind of additional data like is refreshing or pagination state. I can so, and this is the model which we can put into the um, one of the cases of home content state. So there will be loading state, content with this model, and error state for with another model, for example, home error.
Yes.
It will be easier to handle within the UI, no matter what we
And the
will.
code, it will be also very easy to understand because we have the different state and we understand, especially in Swift UI, we have this kind of, it will be much easy to, yes.
Not only in Swift UI, because I can say that in UIKit I used the same approach when
Okay.
it is
Because now
very.
in project we use a lot this kind of state. We have also in UI kit, but it's much easier to have in Swift UI. For me, it's the number of lines with using state. It's much easier to have in Swift UI, especially when we handle this kind of things. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's much easier to I found in Swift UI.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree. Totally agree.
I think that we cover a lot of things. Artem, thank you about this first session about system design interview. It was in the same time discussions, some good advices. Um the the home pages with different sections, dynamic sections. I think it's a good idea for interviewer to ask to a candidate. I hope that in the next episode we'll speak with come with another types. At this moment, I will be the candidate and you the the interviewer. It will be banking, I think, applications. I let you prepare the UI interface for this episode, and I hope that we find the time to discuss another thing about design, system design interview, which I think it's a good topic for developers now. As we talk in offline, we there is a lot of company that ask about system design interview since many years, but now I find that a lot of company ask about it. Okay, thank you, Artem, and hope you find the episode great, and we'll try to improve so episode by episode the quality of our uh, discussions, especially when we try to move to another topics. We try to cover a lot of topics because there is a lot of company of domains that we need to understand, and I hope that we help people to pass their interview, system design interview, and get their jobs. This is the idea. Okay,
I agree. Thank you, Walid, as well. It was a very interesting interview.
thank
I
you.
hope we will meet at another one.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Bye. Bye, Arta.
Bye.